Good
Morning.
morning. Hi.
Did you move that for the
What did I
cross over
move?
there?
The cross? No, it's always been there.
No, I meant this.
Oh,
it's
no,
like
I didn't.
Just all. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's
Oh
there
my
you go.
gosh. Hi, it's Wednesday. A happy Wednesday. We're in the final stages of preparing for our workshop this morning. We're doing
the
our
workshop's
workshop
not this morning.
on Saturday. We have our Success Alchemy, which is like, how do you make, The Alchemist is that great story about somebody finding their personal legend, right? And having their whole purpose and their destiny unfold as long as they're following their inner GPS and wisdom. So there's a little bit of that we're going to talk about, how to follow your own divine GPS.
And
then,
the alchemist was they could take lead or the different elements and turn it into gold. And that's also what we're going to discuss, is taking your elements, all of your resources you have available, and turning that into gold, or turning those into gold.
So we're really excited for that. You can still sign up if you want to come down and be with us this weekend. And we also have some scholarships available. If we never want to let anything stand in the way of somebody trying to get the help that they need. So we always try to figure it out. So if you're one of those people that want to gift a ticket to somebody, or you want to receive a scholarship, let us know.
That if you have an obstacle.
So today we're going to talk about obstacles and overcoming obstacles.
Yeah, that's a nice segue.
Yeah. Can I just give a little, this morning I was feeling, what was that, the cat?
Yeah.
I was feeling this dress this morning. Do you guys like this? Because it does that. Right? The flow. I'm feeling the flow. Sometimes when you're in the flow of your life, things are going great. You're flowing along. You're like, woo. And then all of a sudden, you hit a brick wall. You hit an obstacle. An obstacle can be anything. It can be an unforeseen circumstance. What else can obstacles be?
Obstacles very often are the conversation in your mind. It's your relationship with what happens. For example, like this weekend, we have an event. What if someone said, "Oh, I don't have the time"? Well, here's something that maybe is very important, but an obstacle might be a conflict, a timing issue. It's too far away. It's for some people. For those of us from New York, how many of y'all, if you're from New York, you've seen this? People live in Manhattan and they do not leave the island. So the obstacle for some would be, oh, it's all the way on Long Island. It's 20 minutes away. I can't do that. So what we're talking about as well is your relationship with said obstacles.
That was weird. The ghost is trying to get in, the ghost of obstacles. So, I think that we forget about obstacles sometimes, because we can be trucking along really fine and kind of feel like I always talk about the seasons. That's one of the things that I teach with, is the lesson of the seasons. And so let's say that you're in a fall, you're reaping the harvest, or you're in a spring and you're planting and sowing seeds, right? And you're doing the work and you're doing what you need to do, and you feel like, yeah, I'm 100% responsible for my life and everything in it. I've taken that responsibility. I'm sowing the seeds. But what I know for sure right after spring, and the newness and the freshness and the excitement, is that summer is coming. And summer is a time of opposition. Summer is a natural time of things being hard, difficult, and sometimes, yes, we have the internal dialogue that is most often our opposition, but weeds gonna come. And sometimes weeds are not your stuff, it's somebody else's stuff trying to strangle you and pull you back down. When the crop is trying to come up and sprout up, that the weed starts the weed's job is to strangle stuff and make it so that it doesn't grow. The locust job is to ruin everything in its path, right? When things are there. So think about, you have people in your life that their nature is to be a weed, right? And there's the tall poppy syndrome anyway.
Mm-hmm.
When people start to come up, naturally other people start to feel inferior or insecure and start to want to pull you back down it's be down here with us, right?
It's easier to knock someone down than to build yourself up. It's part of that. Also, it's a bit of victimhood strategy right there. Your obstacle, the person, the victim lives everything else is the obstacle. Everybody else has the issue, has the problem. It's all about, they don't want me to, what have you. And so they'll pull other people down because they're feeling that they're going to overshadow or take away from the opportunities. And again, that obstacle, because here's what's interesting. everything that Heidi's sharing, so true. The weeds are going to come. And if we're not diligent about doing something about it, we have a choice. We're either going to be the victim or the victor in that situation. And if you think about all great sports matches, it's all about overcoming obstacles. Think about it. Every sports situation is about one team providing an obstacle for the other team to get to the next step. But you don't see the champions going, oh man, like, yeah, there's people who are getting in the way. There are people, you know, they don't blame the other situations. They will always revert back to what's going on within.
Well, and I think the difference between the players and us is that they expect the opposition. And I think that what happens is we forget that opposition is a natural part of the order of things in life. Everything has an opposition. Everything has an opposing kind of force on the spectrum, right? There's light and dark, and there's success and failure, and there's, you know, a smooth sailing and opposite. You see how this is slow? I can see already that this video, when in the replay, if you're watching it, I'm going to apologize now. It's going to be like in and out. I can see by just the way it's. I don't know what's going on with that. We need to change. I can just tell. I just know. So if
we'll see,
we'll. I always know.
Well, but if you're talking about the hearts showing up late,
no,
there's
not
a
the
delay.
hearts. No, I can just tell that it's going to be scrambled. So if we're going to find another way, we're going to get another box or something, or hardwire it, because I can tell this is going to be a problem. So anyway,
is that an obstacle?
It's an obstacle, but here's the thing. You know, the content's still good, right? So you might be watching this replay right now after, right? Not now, but after we do it, and say, oh man, I can't really see it. But don't let that be an obstacle for you to get the information that you need.
But they see it blurry on the play. So that's we hear that sometimes they'll say that it's blurry. Mm-hmm. So we could ask, is it blurry, and see.
Okay, so let's get back to summertime. Okay, so summer's going to come and the weeds are going to happen, and so we have two choices, right? If we know the opposition is going to be there, and we know that we can expect the weeds to try to strangle us, bring us down, or do whatever, we can complain about it, be blindsided by it, and go, oh my gosh, and spend all of our energy and time focused on this shouldn't be happening. I shouldn't have this opposition. You shouldn't be behaving that way. My husband or wife should support me. My friends should cheer me on. You know, this should be easier, but that's not the nature of life. Okay, it is what it is, and summer is summer, and locusts do what locusts do, and weeds do what weeds do. So let's change our energy.
Haters be hating.
Right? Let's change our energy from that. This in the self-righteousness of it. It shouldn't be happening, and change self-righteousness for reality. It is what it is. So now if I'm a farmer, I have two choices. I can stand out of my crop and I can go complain about the bugs and the weeds, or I can pull them up. I can get to work. I can do what I need to do. And sometimes that means when you're on the track to success that you are going to have to pull weeds that are named mom, friend, okay, people in your life. And not to say you have to uproot your relationships, but what you do need to do is say, I'm not available for your criticism, critique, or opposition at this point. I'm plucking you out of the system. Okay, so you can be, a weed's going to be a weed, but go grow somewhere else, right? Not in my garden. It is your garden, the garden of your life. You get to say what grows in your garden. You get final say over that. Nobody else. You are the farmer, okay? The sole farmer in your life. And so it's your job, not your husband's job to pull the weeds for you, not everybody else's job. It's your job to get in there and pull them out.
Well, and interesting, that one of the things also to speed that process up is to surround yourself with other farmers who are pulling the weeds, where it's a natural course of events, where you notice it's their relationship with the weeds. They go, hey, the weeds are going to come. So in order to speed that process up, I either set myself up for success by planting in a way that makes the weeds easy to pull, or I just know going in, this is weed pulling time. This is nurturing time. This is watering time. This is, it's going to be hot out. So what am I going to do? I'm going to make sure that I water in a timely fashion. I'm going to do all of the things in preparation rather than in reacting and then blaming. This happened.
Yes.
And
blaming the natural order of things. Everything has an opposition. But is it really opposition? That's the thing too. Is it really opposition, or is it just the natural way
when you look at the natural order of things, it's actually preparation on a larger scale
to make you more resilient. And
to
so
be able to handle. To whom much is given, much is expected, much is required.
that's right.
So you're going to need that strength, that ability to take on, because the more opportunities you create for yourself, the more opportunities for weeds to grow.
You know, when things get taken or when opposition comes, that's really the only time that we build resilience and grit. And those are two things, or the same thing, necessary in order to live a life that you desire and deserve. And so opposition is a gift. You know, if you want your life to be about a great, hero's journey, a quest always has an opponent. It always has opposition. If there's a quest without an opponent, it's a walk. You're just like taking a stroll through life, right? And
Luke Skywalker wouldn't be Luke Skywalker without Darth Vader.
We want our lives to have more meaning, right? And so opposition gives our life meaning. It's like, everybody loves a come up, a come back, a come through, a breakthrough. And that's why we always put a breakthrough in one of our events. We'll have one on Saturday. That's what makes your human spirit come to life, right? When you know and you triumph and you build your self-esteem and say, I pulled that weed. I didn't think I could. The other thing is there's two ways to overcome an obstacle, right? Power or force. And so power sometimes in that divine masculine energy is necessary, where it's just not working. So you're just going to burn it down. You bring the fire, right? And you power through, or you force, you kind of just, use all your power and strength to just dominate and just crush it. And there's a time for that.
Well, and there's a great book actually by Dr. David Hawkins called Power versus Force, which speaks on this in depth, and totally recommend it. It's one of my favorite books. Yeah. I have multiple copies because they're covered in highlighter. How he's sharing is the force of like getting something started, and that is very important. The force could be like the spark, right? You got to sometimes access that, but the power pulls you by having that purpose, by having that understanding and the appreciation that you're actually consciously dancing. So you understand the nature of things and you powerfully move through the experience by pulling you to that higher purpose, by having that vision, by having an understanding of your relationship with whatever's going on. And then you can powerfully negotiate as opposed to trying to force your way and push it through, which sometimes, as Heidi shared, is necessary to get going, but the power is going to pull you through and it's going to help you build that momentum. And that power is in the understanding and the appreciation of the natural order of things.
Hold on 1 second, baby, almost. She wants to come and say hi. And I see the power versus force kind of similarly, but I'm just going to add there that force is dominating. It's that masculine divine energy where I'm going to be aggressive, assertive, dominant. I'm going to take it. I'm going to crush it. I'm going to dominate it, right? Power is Wu Wei in the Taoist philosophy. It's that I do my part and I allow the universe to do its part, and we're in unison and song, where I trust the nature of the universe to take care of everything. Like a flower doesn't struggle; it just gets planted and it opens and blooms. And so a really good analogy of this, like the masculine is the fire. I'm going to be aggressive and dominant. The feminine, divine feminine, is the water. And so if you think about water, it has lots of opposition where it's trying to go in its life, right? Water is a living, so it has lots of opposition. It has rocks to see in front of it, and barriers and mountains and all these different things, and places it wants to flow and things it wants to be and become. And so water doesn't force its way. Water flows through the cracks in the path of least resistance in the face of opposition. It remains true to its nature and it uses its own power to just, the softest thing in the world sometimes overcomes the hardest thing, like the Tao says. So basically it's just allowing itself to be moved and flow where it's called to go. If it sees a rock and it says, I can't get through there, it doesn't force and say, I need to come through. It flows and bends around it. Another great example of nature, your true nature is like water. Your true nature is like the willow tree. So if you think about the willow tree, it's firmly planted and rooted in what it is, right? What it needs to become and all that it is in its glory. But what it does is it grows these beautiful branches and it dances in the wind. It remains flexible in the opposition, and that's why it survives any storm, because it can dance within the opposition. It knows how to be around it and move its way through, and it doesn't bend and break. Things that are hard and rigid oftentimes break and snap. And so be flexible in your approach is the other point to your opposition.
Well, and
there's not one way to overcome something. There might be multiple paths to Rome.
That's
steadfast.
actually a presupposition of NLP is the person with the most flexibility is going to be the most successful. So what's going to happen is that when obstacles come, if you're willing to change how you're being, change how you've been showing up, you're going to be more flexible. The challenge is that oftentimes our true obstacles are what I started with is those inner thoughts. It's our relationship with obstacles, and that's where most of the work is done, is in the relationship. And one of the great stories I'm sure you've heard is the relationship the elephant has with its trainer, the trainer of the rope. So basically, this is a true story. Back in olden time days, the way you train an elephant is, and still to this day, this is how you train an elephant. You put a rope around the elephant's leg, and then you put a chain to the post. And as a baby, the elephant goes, oh, I can only go this far. Its obstacle is this space. Its mind goes, okay, I can only go this far. And they got this chain. They see they got this rope around their leg, or this little chain rather around their leg, and then this chain that goes there. But then as the elephant gets older, there is a chain around the leg. So the little chain that goes around the leg is attached to a big chain, but then the traveling circus, it's really difficult to be carrying all these chains around. So what do? As the elephant gets bigger, the chain actually gets smaller and it becomes a rope. It's just a small little rope. So the obstacle for the elephant is it walks along and sees it's got, oh, I have the chain on my leg. So that means I can only go, as soon as I feel a little bit of resistance, that's as far as I can go because I've never been able to go any further. So there it is. It's stuck in this little circle. Well, back in the old days, it's really sad. There was a fire. And believe it or not, the elephants perished because the chain was still around their leg. The rope had burned, but their resistance, their obstacle was just that little chain that was on their leg. The rope was gone. It didn't even exist.
I love that story because your chain, you might be like, oh, I've been here before. I know I can't overcome this, but you underestimate yourself because you weren't the person you were yesterday.
Right.
That elephant grew up and so did you, right? An elephant became stronger and so did you, right? And so
maybe some of the
we
chains
underestimate our own ability to break through today versus what you could break through yesterday.
And by the way, those chains could be maybe a story that your family told. Maybe someone was an obstacle growing up saying, you can't do it. You're not good enough. That never worked for us. You're from whatever background or whatever. And then that is a chain in our mind that prevents us from doing it. We actually sell ourselves short before even going out because the obstacle is in our head. The obstacle is that thought that prevents us from taking that massive action.
You never have a desire to do something or be something or evolve into something unless you have everything in your DNA to accomplish it, right? An oak tree doesn't fantasize about becoming a frog, right? God's not a cruel jokester, right? So if you have a desire to become something, legitimately like a burning in your soul to become something, you already have everything within you to accomplish it. It's just like the tulip becomes a tulip. You're destined to become, but no, that tulip has weeds. It doesn't mean just because you have opposition, I'm not supposed to do this, right? So I think sometimes we make up meanings like that. It could be true that you're pursuing something that's not working and it's showing you over and over again it's not working, maybe a relationship, and you keep trying to go back in and hammer that out. And it's not that person isn't supposed to work, but your desire in your heart to have a companion, a confidant, a lover, a friend is your birthright. It's just that sometimes we're not flexible in how we get that thing that we want, and we think it has to look like this person, be this way, and that's not the case. I mean, sometimes what you want will take detours and turns, and like the water flows, it wants to make its way somewhere, but it didn't anticipate a pit stop to have to move a mountain and shape the mountain, but it needed to do that in order so that it could become its full self. And so that's true for you. Appreciate the obstacles. They're sharpening your axe. They're preparing and honing you.
And just know they're going to be there. So actually, interesting. I'll share this story. Friend, I won't call him out. He's not on, so I won't say anything. But he's a good friend of ours. Spoke to him yesterday, and he got into a new investment. And the investment was something he hadn't done before. It was in real estate, but it was a new experience for him. So I spoke to him yesterday, and I was just saying, hey, how's it going? I knew he was setting it up, and he basically shared that he had hired a consultant who had already done the work. He had already built a couple of these environments that he was creating. So he hired somebody because he knew he was going to have obstacles. So he said, you know what? I'm going to, what he basically is brilliant. What he said was, I'm going to shorten my learning curve by hiring the person who has already done it. So basically there's the water going into the path of least resistance. Now it's an investment, of course, but it speeds the process up, because all too often we have these obstacles going on in our head going, oh, okay. It's like after I lose the weight, then I'll start eating right, or then I'll start working out, or then I'll start doing that. But what happens is what this person knew, he's like, I don't want to waste a bunch of time, money, and energy that in the short term is less expensive, but long term, it could put my business under, because I can't do this without having the right tools and access to them. So when we say resources, that's a resource. When you go, hey, you've done this before, help me figure this out. Let me learn from you. And by the way, sometimes you don't have to hire somebody. Sometimes you can just find somebody and simply ask. Now, that'll only get you so far. You really do need to do a deeper dive, but at least what you find out is some nuggets that will help get you on the path. And that's what we're doing here, right? These are some nuggets that are going to hopefully raise some awareness so that you can get further down your path, and then you can then decide how you're going to take it to another level so that you can experience the extraordinary life that you deserve.
All right, let's look at the comments and have Ellie come join us, because we're...
All right. Right, when would now be a good time? Exactly, Brian. Let's see.
Robin says bonjour.
Bonjour,
mon petit
Amy
chéri.
says good
Comment ça
morning.
va?
Justin says good
Je
morning.
t'aime, mon chéri. Tu es
Emiliano
très
said it hasn't been because I remember that comment from being fuzzy. David says good morning. Emiliano, he's up early too. Good job,
Love
Emiliano.
the flow. Thank you. Me too. Life is so much easier when we're in the flow.
No questions.
I have a retreat called the Flow. Okay, hey, Ellie.
Ellie, you want to come share?
She wants to come say hello. She was
gnawing at the bit. She's
dying to come say good morning to you guys. Oh, wow.
Come on.
Are you ready? Super.
Here we go.
Good morning, guys. Do my breath smell like Taco Tuesday?
You like Taco Tuesday?
Does your breath smell like Taco Tuesday? Let me see.
You didn't brush your teeth?
No, not so much. It smells like oranges.
Oranges. So
what else do you want to say to your
any
friends?
words of advice for everybody?
I love you.
It's Wednesday. Are they going to have a good day? Are you going to have a good day?
I love you. You're going to have sleepover. Bye.
Okay. Oh, there it is then.
All right. There she is. Andrew said, where is he? There she is. All right. Well, we love you very much. If you want to join us for Saturday, where we're going to take all these concepts deeper, please, we'd love to have you. If you want a scholarship, somebody to come, or you want a scholarship to come, let us know. We're more than happy to get you there. And we love you guys. I guess the outcome today is, look, you remain dedicated and committed to what you know is your birthright, what's there for you, right? That desire in your heart, that dream that you have, that goal, but remain very flexible in your approach, right? There are many, many roads. Expect opposition.
Obstacles are to be expected.
They're to be expected. Summer, you're just in a summer, right? And what does a farmer do in the summer? Does he complain about the weeds, or does he pull them, right? So let's get to work and let's do what we need to do and farm our own lives so that we can have the fruit of the harvest.
Amen. We love you for who you are and who you aren't.
Have a great day. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.